Welcome to Direct Approach, a bi-weekly podcast hosted by Wayne Moorhead, delivering timely insights, fresh perspectives, and actionable takeaways from your direct selling executive peers to fuel your business's growth and evolution. How do today's party plan companies evolve without losing the heart of what made them successful? In this episode from our recent Spring DSU event, Brett Duncan moderates a powerful executive panel exploring the evolution of party plan, from in-home shows to TikTok and text-based selling. Nancy Bogart, Brian Dill, Lynn Lippert, and Orville Thompson reveal what's working, what's not, and what comes next for the model that built the industry. But before we begin, we'd like to thank this episode's sponsor, InfoTrax. In today's digital landscape, direct selling companies face a critical challenge: transforming traditional practices into modern, customer-focused models without losing their core identity. FlexCloud, powered by InfoTrax's world-class commission engine, provides the foundation direct selling leaders trust. Our platform seamlessly connects your ecosystem with premier service providers while delivering the commission accuracy and flexibility that drives distributor confidence and retention. Experience how industry leaders leverage FlexCloud's integrated architecture to enhance customer journeys, equip distributors with intuitive mobile solutions, and access real-time analytics for strategic growth, all while maintaining the relationship-driven essence that defines successful direct selling in an evolving marketplace. Now let's welcome your host, Wayne Moorhead.
Hello and welcome to this bonus episode of DSN's Direct Approach podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Moorhead, and today we're going to be highlighting another dynamic panel discussion from the recent Spring DSU event. This dynamic and insightful panel brought together party plan leaders from multiple companies to unpack what's working, what's not, and what's next for the party plan-based business model in this increasingly digital-first landscape. Moderated by Brett Duncan, this panel features Nancy Bogart, founder of Jordan Essentials, Brian Dill, North American Vice President of Sales at Norwex, Lynn Lippert, Vice President at Labrie, and Orville Thompson, co-founder and executive co-chair at Sensi. While this does focus on the party plan model specifically, there's certainly valuable insights and takeaways no matter what company each of us represents. We hope you enjoy.
Okay, so party plan. Some people in the room know all about it. Some people have heard the phrase, and that's about as far as it goes. But we call ourselves party plan, or at least we have in the past. You might call yourself something different now. But what is, in your mind, and Nancy, I'm going to start with you on this.
Okay.
What is the state of the party or the show at your company? What still works, what doesn't, what's been adjusted in a way that makes sense?
And thank you for having me today. It's an honor to be here. A lot of fun. I love the getting together and seeing so many people. And I know party plan's a little different. For us, it's a two-sided coin. On one side, we are leaning in heavily to our identity and reassuring everybody we're a party plan, multi-level. This is who we are. This is who we've been. This is what we've built. And we are going to continue that. And then the other side of the coin, as we recruit, we're doing workshops and getting together, and we have a rewards program. So I feel like it's evolving slightly, but it's such a part of our identity. It's a part of our compensation plan. And so we feel like it's going strong. As we continue to define and solidify our history of who we are and what we're doing.
Nice, thanks. Brian, what would you add to that at Norwex?
I would say that, it's about a choice. And over the last couple of years, we've had to make a choice on kind of where we are. And at our leadership conference this last January, our global CEO came to the leaders and said, we choose you. So because, as it's been said, a lot of conversations about what are you doing, how are you, what's happening in the industry. And we had to reassure them that we're going to choose them. We're going to choose our model because it's about education. It's about teaching, for us, teaching our mission and teaching how our products go into that mission.
Oh, that's great. Lynn, what would you add here?
I think, for us, we're a little bit coming out of what I call the COVID hangover. Mm-hmm. And business was so different then that our people are really starting to get back to personal get-togethers and really finding success. So it's really about, we recruited so many people during COVID that probably never had the opportunity to experience a party. And so we are really recognizing that we need to double down on our training. And like you said, we offer the menu, of how people can do their business, but they need the resources to be able to get back to the party. And they recognize that, one-on-one is okay, but one with a group is so much more effective.
That's such a good point. So many people came in an influx at so many different companies during COVID to a party plan company where a traditional party could not be held.
Yeah.
And now it's like they don't even know what that experience is.
Right.
Orville, at Cincy, what are you guys seeing?
Well, I think during COVID, social media became, just so commonly used by our consultants. So they would post and they would gather orders, and they morphed the party into a collection of orders, and then they would select a host. And as that method is less effective now, you have a lot of consultants that are just posting and praying, and then nothing happens, and they wonder what's wrong with the business. And a lot of our legacy consultants are saying, hey, we used to do this thing where we'd actually find a host, and that's why we call it a host program. And we would have her bring her customers into her home. And then we'll go and talk to all of them at once, and I'll get recruits and sales. Maybe you should try it. So we're getting a lot of the new people, because they're not finding success in the new ways of doing it, looking back to older ways of success and trying to implement those and finding success and being surprised, actually.
Yeah.
So I think there will be a resurgence of the party.
I do too.
Agree.
I agree.
Yeah, let's build off of that. I'm already going out of order, okay, on what we talked about. So
Here we go.
Who cares? Yeah, exactly. But I feel like kind of where that led to is kind of at the crux of what a lot of party plan companies are dealing with, which is even before COVID, what I was seeing a lot of was when a party happens, it's still awesome. It's still the most productive, like orders are high. The problem was they didn't happen as often as they used to. And then obviously COVID was the great accelerator, however you want to look at that. So first off, so I know shows come in, parties come in as an order type, but what would you guess, how many would you guess at your company are actual parties that are happening, either online or in person, but they're actual, kind of have a host involved, a true host?
We've been auditing ours, and we had some numbers, so we go through and do some random checks to see how many are host or the same address. And it's pretty high. It's still really high. We're seeing a better swing back to a real host, more with our workshop platform that we're doing now. And younger people like workshops. So getting together and making and taking and doing different things. But I would probably say of our parties, I'd have to ask Marion again, it's probably over 50% is self-hosted, 50, 60%.
Okay, yeah. And by the way, I might be asking some numbers you don't want to share, so if you be as general as you'd like there. But I mean, what are you seeing at you guys' companies, or what would you guess? Again, because it's hard to know for sure.
I would say we're seeing a lot of self-hosting, like a lot of people, but that's okay because they're out there trying to generate new customers. And the way our business is set up, it's, okay, go show them what Norwex can do, go show them what the cloths can do, skincare, et cetera. Because ultimately, that party, the sales will come in, but it's the bookings from that party.
Right.
And so that, how do they get to that outside party that they're not doing themselves? And that's the real goal, but I think we've had to create that energy back, so that's what they're looking for.
Yeah. And I think most people know this, but if you're not in party plan, when we talk about self-hosting, that means the consultant themselves get to be the host of a show. Used to, that was just frowned upon, in the 80s and into the 90s, but then it became like, hey, we need to allow for this. And I would dare say, I think every party plan company allows for that now, I would guess. But it has brought on some challenges. So let's talk about that a little bit more. We're on host programs still. What are you seeing in terms of, well, we mentioned this backstage. Most party plan companies I work with, they say, I don't mind paying out or giving out what we do with our host program. I just want to make sure what we're getting in return is incremental or is in place, is doing what it's supposed to do. How have you guys, and Lynn or Orville, I want you to start here. How have you guys kind of shifted or are shifting or are looking into how to maximize your investment in your host program? And will that mean that things might look a little different?
Yeah, it's something that we're looking closely at because, I've been in the business 30 years, and the host was such an integral gateway to new customers. And so as we've seen people do self-hosting shows, we have a high reorder business, and so you're seeing existing customers just stocking, their orders onto a show. With our more seasoned people, you see fewer new customers. With more new consultants, maybe a higher percentage of new customers. But we're taking a hard look at it because I think that our consultants really believe that they're doing a good thing. They're self-hosting, they're gathering host benefits, they're using those benefits to either reward their team, reward their customers, or doing some loyalty things, so they feel like it's all good. What we're seeing is that kind of shrinking of the very important pipeline of new customers. So we've had to kind of augment even our host program to put a new focus on new customers. And it's a little bit shocking if you've been around the industry for a long time. Never did I believe I'd have to talk to my field about, the importance of new customers. It seemed obvious, but self-hosting has changed that dynamic.
Yeah, the host program has morphed from a customer acquisition tool to just a discounting tool. And, they self-fund. The whole point of a host program is they're of no cost. For instance, if you have a half-price item that someone pays, that's off of the commission structure. So they're paying 50%. Usually you have more than a two-time markup. So that gives you some money to then pay for the cost of the free products that you give them. So the program is supposed to be self-funding, and it's an advertising expense to get new customers. When it becomes a discount, you just have to calculate that discount and find, are there ways that you can answer the needs of the consultant, their desire for a discount or a volume discount, and address it without watering down the host program. So that's kind of what we have to focus on now, is how can we help them understand the value of the host program as a customer acquisition tool? And to do that, we may have to use the same economic mechanism in a different form to incentivize more purchases or customer loyalty.
Nancy, Brian?
We kind of look at the host program as a part of the compensation plan. Yeah. So it's that front end that the host can feel getting the free, can get more products, but then they start the process of thinking, well, what if I got paid to do this? So that's something that we're having conversations about, and how we tie it into the comp plan. The other part is, to your point, is we've got to remind them it's all about the new. Yep. It's new customers, it's new hosts, it's new consultants, and there's a journey along the way, but it starts at that party. And it starts at that adventure, because then they start weaving through their journey and realizing, oh, maybe I could do this thing.
I think your point about compensation plans, and Lynn, I know we've had discussions about this on the other side of that, is a lot of times consultants see the perks they get from the host program as a major part of their compensation. Sometimes that's a more tangible thing to them than even the income itself. Like, sure, if you force them to choose, they might say, give me the products, give me the discount. So that makes it interesting. Nancy, and just coming full circle.
So because now we have all people there's a lot of competition with, affiliates, or I can sell for, send an Amazon link, and they're making 7 or 8%. So if a consultant who's very hobby and very low level has a $200 party and they make $50, and they get these products, it is part of our compensation plan too. So you always ask yourself, is it worth it and can I do it? And so they ask themselves for this, because, yes, we know our leaders, we know what they should do, we know what we train. However, if they're going to pop up, once a month and do a party and get some products for their home, get a little bit of cash, they're getting customers, because they need to have, we have a minimum of 3 customers. which are not Huey, Dewey, and Louie, but they need to have customers that come in, and it perpetuates that I share and I am a part of this company, which the top level needs the legs, they need the volume in the middle. And so I used to like have a total cow about this because we've been doing this 25 years. And I was sitting next to Orville and Heidi one day, and he goes, "Why do you care? It's like herding cats. You just make sure it pays out, you can afford it, and quit sweating it," because we used to never let our consultants self-host. Gosh, that was probably 12 years ago.
Was it good advice?
It was great advice. Stressing out all the time.
I give so much advice and so little of it is good.
That one was good. That one was good. You have other ones, but that one's good. But it's true because that person is getting, some free product, and if they want to go to the next threshold, they can. And they're being an advocate. They're being an affiliate for us per se with a much better compensation plan. But the products are part of the compensation, and they become, product advocates. They love the products. If anybody asks them for something like, "Oh yeah, that's right, I sell Jordan Essentials." So I think it's still viable, even though it's morphed a little bit. But as long as you can pay for it and it cash flows out, and we use it, we don't just train straight. Get your guest. Of course, that's the best. But there's good, better, and best, and you got to be a little bit more relaxed these days, or you will lose it.
Yeah. One of my favorite questions to ask when party planning companies are thinking about their host program is, if you were launching today, is this the program you would launch with? Knowing what you know now about what we're doing now, because let's face it, no one up here is, Orville, y'all are 20 years, right?
21, yeah.
Yeah, everyone's 20 years or older, right?
Yep.
So that was a very different world. And your host program, I'm sure it's gone through some changes, but I bet it's kind of sort of rooted in where you started, just because that's how we do things. So I'm not asking you to answer that question.
Well, I'll tell you, 20 years ago, I was dumb enough to do it right.
That's good.
Now, I think I'd overthink it and probably not do it. And
Not you.
If there was an alternative world where you could go back in time and do things differently, and I did then what I would think is best now, I probably wouldn't have near the success. I think that sometimes it's the inexperience that creates some of the magic. And I remember coming up with the host program, I didn't have any experience in direct selling. So Heidi convinced me to get into this channel, and we didn't have software, we didn't have any money. So I had to figure it out. And why do they do this? This doesn't make any sense, until I got on a spreadsheet and I realized, oh, wait, this makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I think I would do it again. Yeah, I'd do it again for sure.
Nice. Well, on that note, where are you guys getting creative, either in using it or surrounding? Because a lot of people will say, hey, a host program, that's just a really good referral program, at least the way it's intended to be. And we've got things like loyalty programs and reward programs and subscriptions and stuff like that. So Brian, I want to start with you, but what are you guys incorporating either alongside or around or even instead of, in certain cases, with your host program?
Yeah, and thanks for not letting me answer that question, because I'm the only non-co-founder or founder up here, and we have our two co-founders out there. So, what we're looking at is the whole selling system. So we have a new CSO who came in, and the real focus is, what's our selling system, and what does that journey look like, and how does that translate to your buying guests? How does it translate to the host program? And then ultimately, how does it translate to the consultant's income? So we're looking at all of that, and then how do we take those new people on that journey from the product package that they buy all the way through their journey, and really narrowing that down and simplifying the business, because it's, Party Plan is amazing and it's all I've known, but sometimes we can complicate things in this business. Oh.
Can I get an amen?
Boy, they nailed that. But no, they have no
That's
issues.
a Norwex thing. Yeah, sorry.
But I truly think it's how we simplify it for the people and not add too much. Like, we've added a lot. So how do we strip it back and make that journey simple?
Yeah. Lynn, I know you guys at LeBry, y'all are dabbling and pioneering in live stream shopping. I mean, y'all are doing a really good job of let's try this, let's try that, let's go over here. And I would say your field, I think, responds overall pretty well to it. But I mean, what do you see in terms of getting creative around the host program, customer acquisition? You kind of hinted at it already.
Mm-hmm. I think really our focus right now is really that concerted effort to remind them new customers. We have a saying at LeBry, new equals, and they now have heard it so many times from us that they finish the sentence and say growth in unison when we're at a big event. But we really have done a lot to help them with new customers. So we'll offer a free gift to a new customer. We did something in March where you get extra 10% commission on all of the volume you generate from new customers. So it's really, you know, there's a lot of ways that, or a lot of things that a consultant can focus on. And I think to your point, simplification, you know, they need one focus sometimes.
Yep.
And so that's really, you know, we're looking at making changes probably to our host program, but right now we're really, it's all about growth and new customers. So.
Nancy, Orville, had anything to that?
So we've done some product, a little to help with the party, because you would get your specials for the month and you had your host program and you would go to a brand new audience who's never heard from you. And now you have a VIP group and you're trying to get new people, and that information, because everything's like this, is so stale so fast. And we implemented a wow, which is within 1 week, because Facebook doesn't like the word sale. And our production team doesn't totally love me, but we're nimble enough that we add a different special that's of value to the customer that they'll want to share, that changes every Monday morning and closes out on Sunday night, because most parties close on Sunday night. So they can literally be opening a new party. So we try to get the focus more to be weekly parties than the month of finding different groups. And then that way, if they would like to take that and they can create an event and they try to get people to come to the event, that wow, it has become very popular. I know it's laborsome, but I feel like we started that during the pandemic when I realized 1 month's worth of host specials customers inside the party. People get that in a second. I mean, you're not able to trickle that out one conversation at a time because you couldn't get near anyone. So I really like the fact that, you know, we manufacture, makes it a little bit easier for us, and creating some of those. And then they learn about that product. They become more product expert. And then when they're ready to do an add-on for a customer, or, you know, one of their VIP hostesses, that consultant now knows more because we spotlight that one product every single week. So I think it's a lot of fun, but it's a little bit to switch over. But we have to be it's a little bit more work, but I do think it really definitely gets us new customers into those parties.
Orville?
I think change is really painful for people who have systems in place. And a lot of times at the home office, you can, you know, move a wheel one click, but by the time these gears get out to a consultant in the field, that thing is spinning. So we think they're small changes. To them, they're massive changes. So we try to take the approach when we got our game on. You know, we make mistakes, but the intent is to create something and invite people to that alternative, and then allow that alternative to demonstrate its own value so that the marketplace within consultants chooses a different approach. A few years ago, we created a subscription business. And it would help create stability for consultants. You know, it's a whiff box, fragrance products in a box, and it's different every week. And then they could add products onto that into a club subscription and things like that. And in that, there are rewards that work very similar to a host reward. So even though it is a subscription business, we're using the same principles as a host reward to incentivize the engagement in that side of the business. So I think there are ways that you can take these principles, even if you're not a party plan company per se. You can take the principle of how do you use product at a discount outside of the commission structure as an incentive to engage or to move your field into a direction you want them to go. I mean, that's really what a host program is.
Talk to me. We've got a few more minutes left. I know at least one of you brought this up in our planning, but like TikTok shopping, and it doesn't have to be that necessarily, but what, you know, with everything that's happening around, what are you taking advantage of? Are you trying to incorporate that? Are you trying to engage in that? Are you trying to engage, in other programs kind of on the periphery of that? Share a little bit about that. Or not.
I can take a stab at. So from our very beginning, we had a lot of consultants that would sell things at fairs and shows, or do a basket party where they'd send a catalog and a basket around, or they'd do home parties. So when Facebook came online, and then video, social media video came online, and streaming came online, all of these were just different ways they invented or used to invent a new party type. And I think that's always going to evolve, but the best ideas are going to come from the consultants that are trying to find an edge.
What's one of the more creative things that you guys have seen lately that you're like, that's really cool, let's run with that a little bit? Anything come to mind?
I think the field is coming up with those things,
Right.
not necessarily us, but it's,
They always do.
Yeah, and they do. By nature, they're going to game the system, and they're going to figure out how to maximize what they're doing. And so, whether it's TikTok or whether it's Facebook or whether it's Zoom, what the pandemic did is it provided different avenues to sell the product. We may not call it a party, but them gathering orders or them reaching out, that's part of our business model. It just looks differently than the in-home party. So we have, I know right off the top of my head, a couple of our leaders who do TikTok and do an amazing job on TikTok. Mm-hmm. And some of our top level leaders are like, nope, just in-home. Mm-hmm. So we've got to embrace that selling passion that they have.
It's interesting how that manifests, because you'll find people are like, no, I'm a home girl.
Yep.
Right? That's where it happens. They're like, no, I'm only online, and how they do their business. Factions is the wrong word, because it's not like they're against each other, but it's almost like, well, yeah, you do it that way, I do it this way. And at the home office, it makes it difficult to accommodate for all of that, right? And having to keep up with it, yeah.
And I totally echo all of this, that our field comes up with the most creative things. I don't know where they have all this time. We call them pillars. So we always say the best people do their business in multiple ways. And we train at our conferences on all 4 ways to do your business. Mm-hmm. We do pepper that host program through different pieces of it because we're a party plan company. But they are extremely creative. And with the advent of Canva, and
right.
everybody... Alex calls them Canva Queens, but they're able to go in and create so many things. So then you kind of get into, what do you provide for the party? And we're trying to help more go underneath and equip them with how to use Canva, how to be compliant, how to create your own party, how to do your own copy and paste for your team, how do you do texting parties, and then let them build, because we have a lot of products. And it allows them to kind of focus in how I want to do business with which products on my time. Mm-hmm. And then we have a great, long, steady company, great compensation plan, great host program. And then we try to change that very little, because you're right, they have to count on it. And those small changes become big, and then they all talk to each other because everything's connected. And, it's in today's economy, we want people to feel safe, and we want to provide them with what they have. But I always say, to be really, really good at this business, you better be a good learner and a good partner with the field. It's a two-sided coin.
Guys, this has been awesome. I've got one more thing. Lynn, I got a text from your boss who said, Brian Kaminsky, who said, will you please get a picture of Lynn or maybe some video? And I said, well, I'm kind of going to be up there with her. But you know what? Let's just give it a shot here, okay? So y'all look at me here.
Everybody.
This is just for Brian. 1, 2, 3. All right. Awesome. Guys, thank you so much. Give them a big hand, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that. That was great.
Are you ready to revolutionize the way your direct selling company accesses industry insights? Introducing the DSN Library's Smart Search, an AI-powered tool that puts over 2,000 curated assets at your fingertips. From compensation trends to emerging markets, answers are just a click away. If you're already a DSN supporter, then you have access to Smart Search right now. If not, it's time to check out our updated program for 2025. Starting at just $1,000 per month, your entire company can get access to the channel's most comprehensive collection of education and insights available. Visit directsellingnews.com/supporter to see a demo of Smart Search in action and to learn how your company can become a supporter now. We also invite you to join us for the Fall DSU event happening October 6th through 8th. Registration is free. Visit dsnevents.com today. Thank you for listening and supporting DSN and the Direct Approach podcast.